Welcome everybody to the South Dakota Farmers Union forum that we're going to have this afternoon. We're going to talk about beef. We got a lot to talk about in a very short period of time because I've been told we're going to be done at 10 to 2. So we'll get started. My name is Mitch Richter, and I am a lobbyist and consultant with South Dakota Farmers Union. And I'm glad that you're all showed up. It looks like it's going to be a great day at the fair, and Doug was in charge of the weather today, so he did his job. I'll introduce people just to my right. At the end is Dale Bednarek. He's with Farmers Union Enterprises. This is Doug Sombke. He's the president of South Dakota Farmers Union. I have Megan Kingsbury, who is on my left, who is going to fill us in about her plant that she plans to build in Rapid City area. And then we got Kyle Treloar. Right next to her is one of the co-owners with Megan. And James Halverson with South Dakota Stock Growers. And James is here just as a consultant on the project, not necessarily representing the stock growers today. So we'll just get started, and let's just start with Dale on the end. Farmers Union Enterprises owns 5 businesses. And Dale, why don't you just tell us just briefly what each one of those are and where they're located and how they work.
All right, thanks, Mitch. And I just want to give a big shout out to Doug and for everybody. Appreciate having the opportunity to come and speak in front of you guys today. I got to know a few of you out there in the crowd and seen a few of you before, and they know who they are. They're my bosses, and it's just a tremendous opportunity to speak today. Just give you a little background of who I am. My name's Dale Bednarek. I'm the president of Farmers Union Industries. That's the operating division of Farmers Union Industries. We currently have 6 businesses that we operate under in 3 different states. Our ownership group is comprised of the 5 farmers unions of Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Our 6 businesses presently are Central Byproducts, which is our biggest of our businesses. That's our rendering facilities. We have 3 of them. One of them located in Redwood Falls, Minnesota, one of them located in Long Prairie, Minnesota, and one of them located in Esterville, Iowa. We also do a grease trap and grease collection business in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota. It's called a company called Midwest Grease, and it's a very lucrative business right now as used cooking oil is very attractive. We do Northland Choice is another one of our divisions. That company presently is in Redwood Falls, Long Prairie, and Waite Park, Minnesota. That creates a wet pet food out of poultry viscera. And we're also known for Artex Manufacturing. That's located in Redwood Falls, Minnesota. We build manure spreaders and silage trailers, and the reason that business originated was to build trailers for the rendering company. We also have a hog processing facility in Esterville, Iowa called Redwood Farms Meat Processors, where we don't take a normal hog that a packer would take. We take an off-spec hog and we kill it and cut it up and make it into primals and sell those off into the meat industry. We do a lot of business with out east, the Chicago area, and because our meats are a smaller size, they're attractive in the cruise lines. So, and then our final division is Performance Pet Products, located in Mitchell, South Dakota. It's a cold pack dog and cat food industry. We make wet pet food in 13, 5, and 3.5 ounce cans. We're a co-packer, and we just recently, 2 years ago, completed a 147,000 square foot facility. So it's fairly new. It's going through some growing pains, but we're realizing a lot of benefit of having that big facility. So once again, thank you for allowing me to speak for you today, and I'll turn it back over to you, Mitch.
There's a lot of value-added ag there that helps all 5 states that are involved with that, and it's, I think, one of the best-kept secrets about Farmers Union is the ownership of those facilities, helping farmers and ranchers and producers out. So Doug Sombke is president of South Dakota Farmers Union. Doug, you want to talk a little bit about economic development, why these types of projects are good for South Dakota?
Yeah, you know, being part of an ownership group of Farmers Union Industries gives us a lot of leverage that we can advocate for family farmers and ranchers. And in the packing industry today, yeah, we have 4 packers in the United States, 3 of which are all foreign owned, and which is one reason that we're very interested in what Megan's trying to do, and also being part of that with the rendering system that we are very good at. What Dale operates. So we're very strong in what we do. And like Mitch said, the industry that we have, the money-making product side of our industry is a big, big thing because we can do a lot of things with money. We all know that. The best thing about Farmers Union is our policy. It's not about the politics. And the thing we got to get over, especially in this state, is the fact that you don't have to have an R behind your name to be a good leader. And Farmers Union has proven that over and over again, and will continue to do that. And thanks to the good work of Dale and the board, we'll continue to provide a lot of funding to make things like this happen in the state of South Dakota.
Thanks, Doug. We'll skip down to the end of the table and have James Halverson talk to us a little bit about how this is going to impact producers in South Dakota and, again, more economic development for producers. James?
Sure. James Halverson, and again, I think what Doug started to allude there to is really important. It's just the fact that we're not getting a fair shake as beef producers. Those big packers have a monopoly, and we think that the markets are extremely broken right now. And so we're very excited about this. You know, when I talk to producers all across the state, the words that come to me most frequently from them are that this is exactly what we need, speaking of this processing facility in Rapid City. And I think that that's really important because people have lost hope. People are losing equity. There's farmers and ranchers going out of business, cattle feeders losing money every day, and we're losing them. And I think the one thing that even just the proposal of this project has done has injected a whole lot of hope into these markets and into these cattle feeders and cattle producers. And that's why I'm proud to be a part of this, and I hope that we can continue to move it forward because we need more competition. We absolutely need that in our cattle markets, and we hope that this can do that.
Thank you. Megan, we'll go to you next, and why don't you just tell us a little bit about your project. We'll get into probably some of the roadblocks that are out there that people have been discussing with you about, but tell us the size, the financing. Give us an overview of what you're planning for Western South Dakota.
Megan Kingsbury, CEO of Western Legacy Development Corporation. To my left is Kyle Treloar, Director of Development for Western Legacy. He's also co-owner. We're happy to be here today and provide some information to the public and garner additional support for the 8,000 head per day packing facility that we have intended to break ground in January of 2023, just on the south side of Rapid City. This is part of our master development strategy where we are looking to reintroduce that competition that James was talking about into a free market system for the producers. What we're looking at primarily is if we are able to put 2 cents a pound back into the producer's pocket, that just within 8,000 head from our first facility, that's $50 million injected back into the producer from an economic standpoint. We're able to achieve that. We know we're able to achieve that conservatively. We're very happy to partner with Farmers Union Industries on the rendering side, both at this facility and at future facilities. We are looking for long-term value add in reinventing the way that packing facilities are done from a citizen responsibility standpoint, from respecting our neighbors, from the environment, from implementing technologies that currently do not exist out there, as well as being able to claw back some of that market that we perceive the big 4 packers currently hold hostage at the top from our producers and are taking money from our pocket daily.
Go ahead, Kyle, and fill in from your perspective on your side.
Sure. Kyle Treloar, Development Director for Western Legacy Development Corp. Just to kind of follow up on some of Megan's statements there, the size of the plant is truly critical to the overall operations and making sure that we are able to process that 8,000 head a day, which makes us a significant facility. And so my portion of this is to make sure that we site this building We have an overall development strategy that makes sense moving into the future. So moving through and making sure that we're implementing those state-of-the-art technologies, which are absolutely critical to making something like this really work, finding the site, making sure that it is ecologically friendly to the area, and then understanding where we're building and the people that will be building around and how it'll affect our communities. It's a very exciting project, and I'm very excited to be a part of it.
Of course, these projects always, when you're talking about a project this size and new technology, and people think about old packing houses that were built 100 years ago or 50 years ago, and there's things that come up, and I think the big 4 or 5 things that come up are, you know, the smell, the use of the water and electricity, labor, and where are you going to get your labor, and the housing, and just cattle availability. There's lots of questions. Are you going to have available 8,000 cattle every day all year long? And so let's start with that. And James, maybe you can talk about how many cattle there are in South Dakota and the Midwest where they would be drawing from. And then Megan, maybe you can fill in where you plan to draw from and how many cattle you're going to start with and how many you're going to end with at 8,000. I'm sure your plan's not going to start with 8,000 a day, but the ramp-up process. James?
Sure. So it's probably the number one question we get after we say this is exactly what we need from our farmers and ranchers. They also kind of look at us a little cross-eyed and say, well, there's not that many cattle in western South Dakota. And they're right. There's not that many fat cattle right there available in western South Dakota. But we truck cattle all over the country. And there's 4 million cattle roughly in South Dakota right now, just within the borders. And when you consider the surrounding states, there's probably 12 to 15 million harvest-ready cattle every year. This plant's going to harvest a little less than 3 million a year. So when we talk about, you know, a 400 or 500 mile radius of this plant, there are plenty of cattle available. And additionally, this is a rhetorical question, so don't all jump up and raise your hands, but how many of you market fat cattle? And additionally, on top of that, how many of you are happy with how you can sell them and who you sell them to and how many bids you're going to get? And I would guess not very many of you are happy with that if you market fat cattle. So we're very excited to come in and be that second bidder and make sure that people have some options available to market those cattle. And again, there are millions of them within a 4 or 5 state region right here. And I would guess not very many of them people are happy with the way they can market them right now. So we don't think that supply is really that big of an issue.
Megan, go ahead and talk a little bit about, I know you've talked with producers outside of South Dakota, but also those that are located in South Dakota, and what your plan is to ramp up to get to that 8,000 head number.
So our Director of Operations, unfortunately, could not be here today. Curtis Harper is overseeing the ramp-up phase, along with the engineers and with the development side coordinating proportionately. These are very incremental numbers that we have to be strategic about in how we acquire, both from a procurement standpoint as well as from a logistical standpoint. To that effect, there's a lot of thought and energy put into the analytics of the ramp-up period. We will be open for business January of 2026. And what we're looking for at that point is a number less than 8,000. I'm not able to share that at this moment, but we do have all of that drawn out all over. And we're able to ramp up strategically. What we're looking for, though, with partnerships, particularly with local producers in the South Dakota area, are those feed yards. We've had a lot of feed yards over the years that have closed because of lack of demand. And we are looking to have those conversations at this point and implement with them what we need to do to get the dust bunnies out of those and start getting those contracts back up and running and procure what we need for staging those morning runs, particularly from a nearby area.
With these projects, Doug, we have a lot of issues surrounding just the growth of economic development. Then we've got environmental issues. Can you talk just a little bit about where state leadership is at on helping bring like the Whetstone hog facility into Sioux Falls, as well as this one, and what are we doing to talk with state leaders about the issues that we're going to need to be addressed?
Well, just about every ag group in the state of South Dakota that we're associated with anyway sees the need for that leadership. We're just not seeing a strong response. I really think the governor's economic development core should be the ones that are leading the discussion on this. Unfortunately, they seem to always come in Johnny come lately. And I don't mean that to be discriminative. I'm just saying that that's just how it is. I'll just give you the Holstone example. I mean, Bill Zortman, who a commentator in the radio that we work closely with, he does a great job on topics like this. Brought this topic up just last week, and the governor's office did respond afterwards. I mean, I really think that we should be leading from the governor's office, not necessarily, from a radio booth or from some organization.
These types of facilities, when you're talking about employing, a couple of thousand people, that's a good sized town in South Dakota at this point. So, from an economic development piece, where we need the state government to step in and help would be with housing, would be with environmental for discharge and those kinds of things. And I know, Megan, when we talk about environmentally, I saw your program that you did in Rapid City. There was lots of concern about the water, usage of water, where it's going to go, the energy use. So can you talk to us a little bit about how much water you're going to use? I know you're going to capture some methane gas and reuse that. So talk to us a little bit about some of those environmental type things.
Sure, I'll jump in on this one. So the plant itself, and you touched on this to begin with, this isn't the meat packing facility that you would envision when you look at what's in Sioux Falls. This is going to be 100% state-of-the-art. This is brand new technology. These are new equipment. It's all mechanical, ergonomical. This is made for the people that will be working in them. So there's processes and techniques that will be utilized, such as methane gas capture, which is taking the smells, capturing them, and reusing that as energy. We're also looking at, like with the water. This is a facility where we'll be recycling our own water within it. So yes, we're going to be using a lot of water, but we're being conscious of what we have available in the community that we're looking at. So we've got the water reuse. We'll have our own wastewater treatment facility, processes that will also clean up to recycle that water throughout the plant. So keeping a close eye on our consumption and then recycling what we have available to us, they both make sense financially, but they also make sense for the community that we're going to be working within.
I know you've worked with Dream Design in Rapid City, and Dream Design is a development firm in Rapid City that's done a lot of projects for housing, commercial, a lot of projects on Ellsworth Air Force Base. They're working with bringing in the new B-21 out there, and I know they're partnering with you. So Megan, can you talk a little bit about that partnership and how that's going to work?
We've been fortunate enough to be able to bring Kyle Treloar, who is on our advisory board, in-house as a consultant. So all of that capability is now in-house for us that we were previously working with outside. We'll just continue down the path that we're on with the expertise of the local developers, and we're also working with our national and global providers to make sure that we're sourcing the best providers that align with our corporate culture and with our Western values. You'll notice the name of the facility is Western Legacy. There's a strong tie for me personally as a fifth-generation producer to preserving our Western legacy and making sure that every part and every component and every player within this project holds to those values and those principles and is part of sustaining what we hold so dear.
Your project is just south of Rapid City, and there's been questions about location in regards to traffic. You're going to have a couple of hundred trucks a day coming in. Can you talk a little bit about how that area will change in Rapid City to accommodate the neighbors? I know you've said that you want to be a good neighbor and work with the neighbors on the issues that they're having. Talk to us a little bit about how maybe you're working with the state and how the placement of your plant and how you're going to work with the neighbors.
Sure, so the location was specifically picked because of where it sits, as you would expect. We're located on Highway 79, just off of the Elkville corridor that connects you straight to Interstate 90. We also have direct access to our local rail. So the combination of access to the south, east, west, and north, and then our added rail component is really what makes this site work for what we're trying to do. Because yes, there's a huge transportation network that needs to be developed and built around this. And we've worked directly with the state of South Dakota Department of Transportation to ensure that what we have available to us right now is capable, and then as we grow, that we can add to it. And that's taken care of through engineering studies, traffic studies, but especially, with where we're at in a new greenfield development, we have the capabilities to build the facility to fit. We have the capabilities to make the transportation systems around us work. And with the highways and train systems that we have, we can add right onto those, and we have adequate facilities and capacities to move the number of cattle that we're talking about, the goods in and then the goods out.
Dale, the goods in and goods out, there's lots of out that comes out of a cow. Talk a little bit about, this isn't going to be your first rendering facility, but tell us how technology, I guess, is going to play a part in your piece of it as it comes together. People are concerned about the odor, environmentally, and that piece of it. So can you just talk to us a little bit about where you're going to be?
Absolutely, Mitch. I just want to give you a little bit of a history. In 2018, we went down the path. In 2015, we bought a new Esterville rendering facility. And it wasn't really modernized for a rendering facility, and we found out in 2018 just how unmodernized it was. We did have some issues down there with odors, and of course, anytime you process guts, you're going to get an odor. So what we have found is that through hard work and through modernization of equipment, it's a far cry that we ever get an odor complaint down there in Esterville, Iowa. It was big support from the board of directors. We invested in the right equipment. The modernization has come a long way since when the first rendering plants were built. Both of our rendering plants in Redwood Falls and Long Prairie were built in the 70s, the newer ones. And they were built, and as we grew, they've expanded. But there is, the great thing about the plant in Rapid City is that we haul all of our guts into Long Prairie and Redwood Falls now from other packing houses. This one will be a self-enclosed facility. What I like to call, it'll come through the wall, and then with the use of modern scrubbers, that air that will be scrubbed before it goes out, and we are required to be within the state requirements of air pollution and stuff. But before that air goes out of the facility, it will be scrubbed multiple times through the modern equipment that you will, so we will, shouldn't have a problem with the odor.
Doug, I know nationally Farmers Union has worked a lot with these types of projects, and you spend a lot of time on Capitol Hill talking with congressmen and our national director. Talk to us a little bit about what may be going on in other states, how this can affect, how this is going to help farmers and producers in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to look very far to the east. I mean, you look at what's happening in Minnesota. Dale already talked about the businesses that we have over there that Farmers Union Industries is involved in, but you go to Iowa as well. I mean, we've got a lot of economic development there. I mean, some people find some harm in that. There's no doubt about it. You got to be careful, you got to be careful what you wish for. But the fact of the matter is, in South Dakota, we have so much raw material, not just in the area that we are, but the community that we live in as far as a country. We're in the middle of the country where we're in the middle of everything. Everything can go either direction, north, south, east, west. And it's just where everything's coming from. I mean, nobody wants to be in California anymore. Nobody wants to be on the East Coast anymore. South Dakota is a destination. I mean, our governor said this many, many times. We should be the state for the best business climate in the world. And we can be if we concentrate on it, but we need a lot of push from not only from our state government, but also from our national representatives as well.
Megan, Rapid City area is, besides agriculture, is a big tourism area, and of course labor is going to be a big issue. If you're going to employ 2,500 people, you said your starting wage on the line, if it were to open today, would be $28 an hour. That got the attention of a lot of hospitality folks in the West River area because they aren't paying near that. I think they're concerned about losing some of their employees. Of course, there'll be some training. So talk to us a little bit about labor, how you're going to train them. Are you going to partner with SDSU, Western Dakota Tech on training of labor? Where are you going to draw 2,500 people from?
So what we're looking to create is a great lifestyle for our employees. It's one of those that our employees will want to come to work every day. We'll have a quality of life that is unsurpassed. We're going to be able to provide on-site childcare, on-site medical, on-site credit union, on-site food services, hospitality, truck wash. All of those items are going to be part of our master development plan for each of our sites. From an employment standpoint, it's not hard to want a place to go to work every day. Although our unemployment rates are very low, which we're very proud of in the state of South Dakota, we feel that we can offer something that doesn't currently exist from a technical training standpoint. With our partnership with Western Dakota Tech and with South Dakota State University and with South Dakota School of Mines and Technology, we're able to employ a lot of the talent that we're currently seeing leaving the state to pursue those higher paying technical jobs. With a rough estimate of around 2,500 employees at this particular facility, we're looking for folks that are able to operate basic computer functions, artificial intelligence, virtual reality functions, engineering roles, all of those capacities. Not all of these require GEDs and high school diplomas and advanced training, but they do require technology and that way of thinking, which is very prevalent among our young people today. We're very excited to be able to increase the quality of life and hopefully retain the talent that we're currently seeing leaving the state, in addition to the cattle that we're currently seeing leaving the state. So we're asking all to apply, and may the best candidate win.
You're asking, are you looking for financing? I know you said this is a $1 billion plus project. Are you looking for investors, or how do you plan to finance the project?
This project is fully financed through my firm, Kingsbury & Associates. It's a family office, and we're not soliciting investors.
James, when we talk about your piece of it, and you're helping advise Megan and her company on this piece by sitting with them, tell me a little bit about, people are asking, is there going to be a sign-up? How do we get together with this enterprise to make sure that if we want to do something with them and market our cattle to them, how do we do it?
Well, I just want to back up a little bit. I see a whole lot of people out here with these wonderful green stickers that say, if you ate today, thank a farmer. And I just think that's wonderful. You know, I'm a cattle producer myself. I understand the grit and determination that it takes and all of the things that we have to go through, the risk we have to assume, all of that to get this food onto people's table. But at the same time, you know, by nature, I think a lot of us producers like to just kind of keep our head down, do what we've always done, and hope things are going to go okay. And Megan said something earlier that I want to capitalize on that said we do need additional support. If we look at the project in Sioux Falls, it's facing some serious headwinds right now. And I think part of that is because people are just uneducated. I got to give the governor just a little bit of credit. You know, one of the things she said the other day on the radio was that, yeah, that project will be decided largely by the voters in Sioux Falls, but she said that they need to get the facts. And that's where we need your help. If you're a producer, if you want to help us out, the best thing we can do right now is start talking to our friends and neighbors, especially those within the urban areas, whether it's Rapid City or Sioux Falls or any of the other ones, and let them know that we're into the 21st century here. This is not just 100 or 150-year-old technology where it's going to be a stinky plant and it's going to be terrible working conditions and a sweatshop-like facility. As Megan alluded to, we're trying to build a wonderful state-of-the-art facility, but we need this grassroots support because the opposition, and there is going to be opposition, they're going to have grassroots support. So I encourage you farmers and ranchers to take a look at that and to figure out where you can at least have those conversations and get the word of mouth out that this is going to be a wonderful project. Now, as far as actually procuring cattle and kind of back to the meat and potatoes of your question, you know, that's still a little bit up in the air. We definitely want to be that player that plays in the cash market, and we're going to go to every auction barn we can and buy cattle. We want to make sure that we're a fair partner, that we're returning profits to the producer, and that's one of the reasons that I'm up here. Megan approached me months ago about this. She's a rancher, she's a cattle producer, she's doing this for that legacy, not just to be another packer. So that's what won me over, and I don't know if Megan wants to say any more about that, but that's how we can play.
Thank you, James. That is exactly why we're in this business, is we want to make this lifestyle that we enjoy, the Western way of life, particularly, I know we're East River, but go West River. We want to sustain it as farmers and ranchers. This is the way to materially claw back and recreate the competition and redistribute that wealth that, again, we perceive the Big Four are currently holding. One of the things that I want to touch on with the employment question, again, is our important alliance and partnership with the tribes. You know, this is a very important project to them. A lot of them are unable to process their bison as well as their cattle in the current market. This will provide them with a place to do both with our dedicated bison line as well. That's important to keep in mind. We're also partnering with the Intertribal Buffalo Council to work with 83 tribes across the country, as well as independent bison producers, to secure those products as well.
Megan, are you going to own any cattle yourself, or will the company own any cattle, or like the Big Four, some of them own their own cattle, but will you be doing that?
A lot of the outworkings of the procurement process have yet to be determined over the next 3 years. Right now we're hiring the Director of Feedstocks and Procurement. So to directly answer the question, there's potential that we could, there's potential that we won't.
Okay. If you have questions, we'll go to some of those here in about 4 minutes. We got about 15 minutes left here. So, Doug, what else can you tell us about just South Dakota, the Farmers Union perspective on this project? Because we're supportive of the project, but we're not, we're not involved in the financing or any of that kind of thing. But tell us about how we, as Farmers Union, support value-added ag across the state.
Yeah, well, my friend James said it best down there. The farmers, you need to get involved, and that's exactly what Farmers Union does. I mean, we're the voice for you as much as we can, but your voice really makes a difference, and we're going to do that next week. National Farmers Union will be holding a fly-in, which we do every year at this time. And South Dakota, we haven't been able to do this for 2 years because of the pandemic. In South Dakota this year, we'll be taking over 40 people out to that event to share that story. So I think that shows that South Dakota Farmers Union has the grassroots people that want to get involved to advocate for things like this and advocate for what is best for their farm. But you also got to educate, and that's the base of our triangle. We have legislative and we got cooperative, but education is the base, and that's what we try to do the most of. We want you to make the decisions. We're not trying to tell you what to do. We're listening to what our members develop for our policy, and then we carry that out. Every year we have a new policy that is accepted by our membership, and we just try to follow that, and that's the stepping orders for the board of directors and myself. And fortunately, we have financial support as well from the Board of Governors on Farmers Union Enterprise or Industries. So I guess the thing I would ask you all to do is, if you got a question, ask it. If you have some answers, present it, because we really need that. And that's the best way democracy works, is if you're involved. If you're sitting on your hands not saying anything, nothing's going to happen, and you're going to wonder why things went the way they did. So I'm just asking you all to, just as James did, get up and speak for yourself and do what's best.
Anybody got a question in the audience? Luke's got a microphone. Luke, on your right back there. Go ahead and take your time. We got all afternoon.
Thank you. I'm Jerry Pettick from Corson County and a rancher. and I think this is a great opportunity. But I think there's one issue that I'd like to have you address, and that is the marketing. We know that the Big Four have been in the business a long time, and they squelch a lot of people, and they have very deep tentacles in the industry and the government and every place else. And I guess I'd like to have you address how you're going to market and dealing with that environment.
One of the questions, I think, to tag on to that question, Megan, would be, are you going to have your own private label marketing? You working with restaurants or franchises industry-wide? Talk about that marketing a little bit.
Western Legacy does have its own brand, and literally with the South Dakota Brand Board, we're working through that process right now, and we're very proud of that. We're also developing that with the Clemson University and West Virginia the Virginia Tech University through their marketing departments to form that brand and then begin to push it out to consumers. Who we are targeting currently are those that call us. We have not had to push this product to anybody at this point. We're currently in contract negotiations with Fortune 100 consumers, restaurant chains, fast food restaurants, etc. And they are asking us when we can bring more product online than what we currently can produce out of the 8,000 head per day. So those are our end users. They are demanding American beef. We've always believed that it is a thing, and we are being told and responding accordingly to that with this facility and with others as we plan for the future.
Other questions? Anybody else have a question?
I do, but I brought my own microphone. Megan, I'm from Rapid City, so I have some questions. What do you see as your biggest challenge moving ahead with this project?
Frankly, we don't have any big challenges at this point. We're 6 months ahead of schedule. Our financing is in place. We have the support that we need. It's privately held, and we have the livestock and the talent secured, so we're good to go.
Go ahead.
My name's John Christensen. I've raised beef cattle all my life. I'm 69. My grandfather and father, all my grandparents immigrated from Denmark, and they first rented a ranch west of here, and they rented it from the Lennon family that owned a commission firm in Sioux City Stockyards, and the commission firm would send cattle to Valen on the train in the spring, and my dad and my uncle would go up and drive them down to the ranch, and in the fall they'd take them back up to the railhead and ship them back to Sioux City. And that was like 100+ years ago. And they began to build their own herd eventually, and they finished cattle, and they shipped fat cattle to Sioux City by rail. So I've been in the cattle business like for generations, but one thing that I've noticed lately, some of these stores have had T-bone steaks on sale for $9.99, and I haven't seen them for less than $12 a pound for 20 years. And quite a bit of the beef in the grocery stores right now, I just got an ad in a flyer yesterday where they're selling ground beef for $3.09. I'm wondering if these big packers aren't kind of lowering the price of the beef going to the stores just because they've gotten so much attention lately. They're already starting to kind of fight the system, and that just, it's not really a question, but it's just something I wanted to bring up.
I think, Megan, if you could talk a little bit about, we know that some of the foreign packers bring cattle in from outside the USA, and because the way the rules are written, the way, depending on how they bring the cattle into the United States, they can say that it's U.S. Cattle. So are you planning to bring cattle in from Argentina or any other place, or talk a little bit about that? That's kind of where you're going, I think, is foreign ownership of
Sure. So one of the things that ties into that, as well as traceability, and our consumers in America are no longer looking for the niche Whole Foods fresh market products where they're paying $20 a pound for ground beef that they believe has been humanely treated and they are paying these premium prices for what they believe to be American beef. We know as producers that with our current regulatory standards, a lot of those are not truly American beef. That is important to us at Western Legacy Development Corporation, and we're going to be procuring American-only cattle. Our goal is to feed America first, and we are only buying American cattle. To the best of our ability as well, we're implementing technology that doesn't exist, that's being engineered currently. We were on a tour 2 weeks ago looking at where we are in the modeling of it for the traceability in order to provide what many have referred to as the mandatory country of origin and labeling legislation that we have struggled with as producers for many years. With that traceability, we're going to be able to scan a QR code on your drive-through package, and it's going to be able to trace that back to the farm or the ranch, the producer, where that came from. That is the level of technology. When we talk about artificial intelligence within this facility and the next generation, that is what our everyday consumer is going to be able to have this peace of mind and the safety knowing as well. We don't want to see another incident when COVID hit. We know that always has a potential of another disaster of some sort. We don't want to see those American shelves and Americans going without beef. So our focus is American beef procurement as well as feeding America first.
Any other questions out there? I think, what you can see here, as Megan is saying, is that this is advanced technology that's going to be in this facility. And, 20 years ago, before the iPhone, if somebody had told you what you could do with your phone today, you all would have been naysayers and said, that ain't ever going to happen. And I think that's what we have to keep in mind about this type of plant is it's going to be using technology, number one, that isn't even available yet, that she just talked about, as well as, the most technological advanced facility that you can see. And it's hard to wrap your head around not seeing cattle at a packing plant, but they're going to get off the truck and you'll never see them again. They won't see the light of day. So it's that kind of process and project that she's talking about that we just need to keep in mind that if there's a way to get rid of the smell, they're going to do that. If there's a way to reuse the water several times, that's going to happen by the use of technology. So that's one of the big things that I think you have to keep in mind for this plant as well as other new projects that are going to be built in the coming years. We've got about 3 minutes left. Megan, do you want to give us some final thoughts?
I'd like to tie this back in with Farmers Union and Farmers Union Industries. We're very supportive of their partnership with us, and we're very appreciative of that. One of the things that we're working very closely with them is part of the next generation of processing. When Dale references going over the wall with renderings is really a term that we prefer to not use, a byproduct. Again, that's something that shows that it has lesser value. Those items have significant value. How we treat those are very, very important to us, both from a financial stability standpoint as well as being good citizens and responsible caregivers of our animals. We truly value that. So, at the end of the day, what we're very appreciative to them for is their partnership, their forward thinking, their support of innovation, and looking for ways to secure what we value in that Western way of life in our farmers and producers. So we appreciate you being here. We know this is being live streamed. We have a lot of work to do, but we're not afraid of the work. And of course, we're very appreciative of the support that you all are going to provide us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Doug, do you want to finish us up with parting thoughts?
Yeah, Megan, I agree with everything you just said. I think, we got a strong future ahead of us in agriculture in the state of South Dakota with this type of forward thinking in the meat industry. The one question that I have, and I heard this from several of you that are currently feeding fat cattle. I don't feed fat cattle anymore, but I do know what it takes for the infrastructure to haul that type of livestock into a facility. What are we going to do to address that issue in Rapid City? I mean, currently right now we know that infrastructure doesn't exist. How do we address that? I mean, if we just look at, for instance, the last place I hauled cattle was Grand Island into Dakota City. And those are ancient plants now compared to what you're talking about. And those facilities had huge problems with localities of getting the infrastructure so that it was constant and dependable. What's your plans? How is Rapid City working with you to make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, obviously with the location of this, right on Highway 79, 4-lane highway going south. There's a bypass right up to Interstate 90. The infrastructure as far as that is going on, Kyle's been working on this a lot with a couple additional traffic lights to get trucks in and out. And when we look at 200 trucks a day spread out over a 20-hour period or better, you know, you break that down, that's only one every 10 minutes or so. I mean, it's really not that many. So I think we're doing all right there. And I think we're almost out of time, but before I get off the mic, I just want to say I'm a proud Canton FFA alumni. I know we're segueing into the next thing here, so Canton FFA will be up here doing their little quiz bowl thing, and I hope to see a Seahawk victory there.
There's always a guy that's got to get the last word in there. Well, we want to thank everybody for showing up today. We're going to get kicked off the stage if we don't wrap it up. So I appreciate the panel today, and I'd like you to show your appreciation as well. Thank you.